And hello, everyone. I am Jen Robinson. I'm editor-in-chief of Peaceful Living Wellness online magazine. Peaceful Living Wellness is a community of wellness experts that are here to bring you more health, more wellness, and more happiness. And we like to do this in really simple, down-to-earth, easy ways. Today's interview is with one of our valued experts. Her name is Dr. Stephany Zgraggen, and she is an expert in hormone health. She is a doctor of chiropractic and also an herbologist, and as I said, an expert in hormone health. And she really strives to bring women into a place where their hormones are not driving their lives, and they are able to have really happy, healthy lives in spite of all of these changes we go through as women. So Dr. Stephany, thank you so much for joining us today. And I was wondering if you could just give us a little bit of background on what you do in your practice.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Jen. And yes, I own and operate a clinic in Charleston, South Carolina called Lyman Lotus. And my goal is in working with mostly women. I see men and children too, but I'd say 97% of my practice is women, helping women balance their hormones and whatever that might look like to them. It might be women that are having menstrual cycle issues. It might be women going through menopause. It might be women that have fatigue, or those women that have gone to the doctor said everything looks great, what do I do, and they said you're fine, off you go. And I do a lot of thyroid work, so I have a lot of autoimmune patients, patients with thyroid disorders where they're on the medicines, they can't stabilize their labs, and they don't really know what to do, and most of those doctors aren't doing the nutritional component or herbal component to help balance the thyroid. So that is pretty much what I do in a nutshell. I love what I do. I love helping my patients just live their best life.
I love that. Would it be okay if we talked a little bit about what you do with men and possibly boys, children as well? Because, when we think about hormones, we do, because I'm female, I have a tendency to go right to, getting your period and perimenopause and menopause and having babies and all these things. But I also have a male child, a teenager, 16 years old, and hormones are really a huge part of what's going on in his life as well. And I think that makes you really interesting, that you are somebody who does help people who are other than biologically women.
Absolutely. It's all right. Yeah, I work with a lot of men, just like ladies go through menopause, guys go through what I like to call menopause or andropause. So their hormone production of certain hormones decrease, and they might have some symptoms with that, whether it's lower energy, sleeping difficulties, low libido. And if they're willing to handle that more from a natural perspective, that's what I do on that realm. And for kids, a lot of the kids that are coming in, it might not necessarily be for hormonal health. It might be more digestive related or athletic related. And, those still tie into how their hormones produce, and a lot of kids today are really stressed out. So it might be, how do we handle their adrenal glands or the stress hormones? So that's typically what I'm dealing with in kind of the younger populations.
I love it. I love it. It's such a service. Because so often it's just like, oh, they're kids, right? And you give such a nice holistic approach to their health and their health care. So let's talk a little bit about your background and why you got into this field. What was it that motivated you and inspired you?
Well, what inspired me for more of the hormone side of things was just going through a lot of challenges myself personally. When I was in chiropractic school, it was a pretty grueling 4 years. It's a pretty heavy hitting, 4 years where you're in class 40 hours a week, you've got boards. So I was in my senior year, and I was studying for boards. I was in class 40 hours a week. I also worked at a local Italian restaurant where I was bartending about 20 hours a week on the side. Yeah. I was also getting ready to move across the country, get married, graduate, start a practice, and buy a house, all within a 2-week window. So
I did something similar with my doctorate. Yeah.
I was pretty stressed out, and my cycle started becoming more erratic. I started having more cramps, just more pain. It got to the point where every time I had my period, I had nausea and vomiting and literally couldn't get out of bed. Oh. So I was throwing up no fun for anyone.
Yeah.
And the final straw was when I started waking up at the age of 25 with night sweats. I'm like, I'm too young.
Yeah.
This should happen like 30 years from now.
Yeah.
So with the period problems that I was having, with the nausea and vomiting, with the hot sweats, night flashes,
Yeah.
I think combine those. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
I get ahead of myself sometimes. So I went to the doctor, my typical gynecologist. He, did the normal exam and did some lab work. And he came back and said, all of your labs look normal.
Yeah.
You have two options. So
Yeah.
you can either take drugs or we can start cutting out body parts. And being in chiropractic school, neither of those really sounded like awesome options for a 25-year-old.
Right.
And I said, thanks, but no thanks. And, I'm so glad I was in chiropractic school and already had that anatomy and physiology mindset and background and training, where I really just said, there has to be another option. Like, this can't be it. And I started learning more, reading more about hormones, how they actually work, how we generally don't test the right side of hormones for functionality. It's more for just disease control.
Mm.
And once I actually did my own functional lab testing, I found out I was I was a train wreck. My estrogen was high, my progesterone was low, my cortisol was off the chart. I mean, I'm basically a hot mess.
Yep.
And so I was like, cool, I have answers now, where before I had none. And then it took me, some more digging and legwork to say, okay, well, now I have the answers of what's wrong. What's the answers of how to fix this naturally?
Sure.
So, and I wanted to do it with, food and herbs and supplements and go that route.
Instead of
So,
somebody cutting out your body parts.
yes.
Yeah.
I still have all my parts.
Yay!
It took me about a year from start to finish to really change it. But within the first few months, I felt a heck of a lot better. And I know that I feel better now in my 40s than I did in my 20s for sure. So,
Yeah.
The thing that I see most in medicine, I guess, traditional medicine with women in their cycles is they're being told everything's fine when it's not, because you know intuitively that it's not.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, instead of just giving women real answers, they're kind of pushed. A lot of times, it's very sad to me. They're just pushed an antidepressant. It's
Yeah.
like, here you go.
Absolutely.
So for all the women out there that need more answers, there's hope out there. There's functional providers like myself that are doing this work, that are helping women on a one-on-one basis to assess your hormones, see where they're at, and actually put together game plans that are custom tailored to you to fix that. So
and
that's my story.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it ever since. Initially when I first got into clinical practice, I was doing both chiropractic and nutrition. And then that was too stressful on me. And I said, well, my adrenals can't take both. So I had to choose. And we have so many great chiropractors in town locally and not a lot of people doing what I was doing. So I just felt that it was my mission to step more fully into the hormone side of things. Yep.
Well, and when you and I first met a few years ago, I told you I was so delighted to make your acquaintance, because coming from Southern California, where we have a lot of naturopaths and we have a lot of herbologists and acupuncturists and people who are more from the natural side of medicine, coming to Charleston and not having that available. I think I had been here a little over a year when I first met you, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness, right? Because you do have such a wonderful holistic and functional approach to health. And that is one of many reasons I asked you to be an expert at Peaceful Living Wellness, because your voice is so needed, not just here in the South, but beyond as well, because we obviously have a much farther reach than just Charleston. Speaking of which, let's talk about telehealth, because that is one of the other really unique things that you are able to provide, in that so many of our medical doctors, our therapists, who was I talking to the other day? A friend of mine who owns a wellness center, she's a PA. She cannot practice telehealth outside of the state boundaries because of her licensing. Let's talk about how you are able to practice telehealth and for people anywhere.
Yeah, I've got patients all over the country at this point. I'd say right now, half of my practice is located locally in Charleston, and the other half is all done virtually over a phone. We ship them their protocols. So I know that I'm working with a lot of people with hormone issues and they're stressed. So I have tried to make it as easy as possible to work with my patients. I mean, heck, even locally, I have some business owners that are super busy that we still do their appointments virtually, even though they might be a 20-minute drive away.
Yeah.
So my job as a practitioner is, how can I make it easiest for you for me to be accessible to you, and how can we work that's going to be conducive for you, your schedule. So, I'm working one-on-one with patients, putting together custom-made protocols. I have online programs that are self-guided that they can go through. And then quarterly I do group programs. So we're starting a group program this month, and I love the group programs because, we get to get in a Facebook community and chat and get to know each other. So you've got patients, people from all over the country, maybe working together and sharing recipes. So that's always fun. So, I think in this day and age, anything that we can do to bring together community, to bring together, knowledge that might not be locally in someone's town, that's my mission too, is just to get the word out that there are providers out there doing this work.
Yeah, and you know what? We're so fortunate that you are doing this. Not just, obviously from the Peaceful Living Wellness point of view, but just from the point of view of knowing, being a person in the wellness field, because I'm not just editor of the magazine, I'm also a wellness coach myself. I happen to specialize in stress. So you and I are very copacetic together. We work well together, knowing that people don't have access. So you are just providing such a great service. Let's take a turn for some more fun facts about Dr. Stephany.
What do you want to know?
she told me that she doesn't remember the questions that I asked on the
I don't.
Written interview form, so now I get to surprise her.
Surprise me. I don't remember what you asked.
One of my favorites is, what gets you going in the morning? What is your miracle morning routine?
It is waking up without an alarm. I prefer to not have an alarm wake me up, so wake up naturally. And I don't want to say snob is the right word, but I love a good cup of coffee. So I have gathered my tools to make my coffee at home. I bought myself my own espresso machine for my birthday last year. So that was a nice gift to myself. So a good cup of coffee, and I love to sing really, really loud in the shower, like loud. And what's funny is my next door neighbor that's right here, they are opera singers. So I will be sitting on the porch and hearing them like belt out opera. So when I'm in my shower, I feel like I just want to compete with them, even though I doubt they can hear me. But I'm singing like Halsey and Dave Matthews Band and Sublime and whatever is popping up on my Pandora at the moment.
That is awesome. You should just get together for a community sing together, right?
Oh my goodness. Another fun thing. My neighborhood is amazing. I love my neighbors. They do a rock band party where they will project Rock Band onto a garage and play. So I have told them we have two main streets in our neighborhood. I said, we need to have like a battle of the streets for Rock Band. So we have lots of fun.
That sounds like a great neighborhood. Okay, now here's your next quiz question.
Bring it.
What does peaceful living mean to you?
I think peaceful living just really means living your best life, whatever that is. I think we are given all these parameters of what life should be, or, that we can't have emotions. We can't have a bad day. We can't be anxious one day. And it's really, I think, just surrendering and accepting that this is life. We're going to have great days. We're going to have some shitty days. And it's realizing that just because something is bad today is not going to be like this forever. Just accepting what it is, feeling the emotions, kind of letting them go, and just seeing the silver lining in things and finding the gratitude for things. I think that's especially more prevalent now of what we're going through, all being quarantined and working from home. Yeah. Usually I'm in an office. The last 8 weeks I've been working virtually from my house, and at first that was a tough challenge, but now I'm like, I kind of like this. So
we're getting used to it.
Yeah, we're all getting used to it. So I think it's just, whatever that means to you, and it's going to be different for each person.
I love that it's an individual approach, and because that's the approach I take to stress management too, to mindfulness and mindset, that we have all of these ideas out there that if you want to manage your stress, you need to do this, 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 and this. And absolutely, it takes a recipe. But I always talk about how it takes the recipe that's right for that person.
Right.
So some of us like our chocolate chip cookies with nuts. Some of us like them without nuts. Some of us like them with white chocolate chips, right? So
I'm a no nut girl.
no nut girl.
No nut.
Girl. Good.
I'm a no nut girl.
Well, and that's also your philosophy on wellness as well. So when it comes to wellness, what is the number one thing you really wish for people?
I think the biggest thing with wellness is we put, I think, so much ownership for our wellness on other people or our providers. And that's how the system has been designed over the last, let's say, 50 to 100 years. But really, the ownership for our health is on us.
Yeah.
So, I always do a complimentary consult with patients for a couple of reasons. One, I want to see if what they're looking for and what I can provide are in alignment. I want to see if our philosophy of how they want to heal and what health is to them is on par with what I can provide. And it's really to determine, are they ready to heal? And are they ready to take responsibility for it? I think, taking ownership of our health and our choices are one of the biggest things that we could do for our own health.
Absolutely. That is so profound, because we have been brought up, so to speak, in this model of it's all about what the Dr. God it tells us. And I've really been facing that with the care of my elderly mother, and how the doctors interact with her. And I'm not going to go down that road, but it's about not enabling her to be responsible for her health, and also not respecting her ability to be responsible for her health. I mean, she was a registered nurse. She has plenty of knowledge, and she feels so patronized so often. So the fact that you are empowering your patients, your clients, to be responsible for their health, but also to take responsibility and own that, and ownership, because that's beyond just the efficacy of them healing. That is giving them internal strength as well. And that's a double bonus, or win-win, as we say. Okay. What is your guilty pleasure? Do you have any guilty pleasures that are maybe not so wellness oriented?
Yeah, I like a good glass of wine with my dinner. So that's probably the big one. What else did I put on the list? I don't remember.
Do you want me to tell you?
Read the list. I don't know. What else did I put?
You may have put on somebody that she likes to sing to. A young
yes.
named Taylor Swift.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love me some Tay-Tay.
Personally, I think singing along with Tay-Tay, I love that, is actually very healthy. So that doesn't count.
It kind of depends on my mood. If I am like happy and bubbly, it's Taylor Swift. If I'm broody and moody, it's Halsey. So it just depends on what's going on in my life.
Whoever is feeding your soul at the time with their music.
Right? Exactly. I also love some Lizzo. So that's a fun one to sing in the shower.
It's so great.
If I'm singing Lizzo, there's also dancing involved in the shower. So it might be a whole montage.
Careful not to slip and fall, said like a mom, right?
That's so mom of you. That's so mom of you.
The other thing you put on there is dark chocolate. So it's
I love some dark chocolate.
Oh, dark chocolate's great. The reason I bring that up is because that was an answer. Wine and dark chocolate is an answer that was given by the majority of my respondents.
We know how to have a good time, Jen.
The Peaceful Living Wellness contributors know how to potty. And honestly, that is kind of wellness oriented. Having a good time and not overdoing it, of course, is really what health and happiness is about. So, yes. Dr. Stephany Zgraggen, thank you so much for joining us. Please let us know, what are the ways that we can get in touch with you?
Probably one of the best ways to learn more about me and kind of see what I'm up to is probably through my website. It's drdrzgraggen.com. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. At just my handle is just Dr. Zgraggen. I'm not on TikTok yet, so don't try to find me there.
Yeah, Peaceful Living Wellness is not on TikTok. So, I don't think we're going to be either. Although
I don't think I'm going to be in quarantined long enough for a TikTok account yet.
I have to admit that because I have a 14-year-old, there has been a lot of TikTok in my life since quarantine has happened. So, true confessions here. Well, thank you so much. And of course, all of her information is on peacefullivingwellness.com. It's in our show notes, and it's on all of our social media as well. So please look her up. Read her blog, subscribe to our newsletter, because when you subscribe to our newsletter, you also get to get lots of good tips and tricks from Dr. Zgraggen's newsletter as well. And we have all of that information available on peacefullivingwellness.com. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you in the blog. I don't want to do that.